On WhatsApp, no one can see or hear your personal messages. Whether it's a voice call, message, or sending a password. To WhatsApp, it's all just this. So whether you're sharing the streaming password in the family chat or trading those late-night voice messages that could basically become a podcast, your personal messages stay between you, your friends, and your family. No one else. Not even us. WhatsApp. Message privately with everyone.
British Spy Stories Season 5 Kill or Be Killed. Episode 1. The sun moves out from behind the clouds, and its intensity dazzles Gabby Lane for a second, before the Gulf Stream G700 climbs to 42,000 feet and turns further south, on its journey to Palermo. From the cabin window she can see the hazy coast of France stretching out into the distance, and silver aircraft peppering the horizon. Her eyes flick to Kate, Agent Coniston, as she passes by. The woman's blonde hair is tied back, and she carries 2 gin and tonics on a tray. Kate is dressed in the pale blue uniform of the private charter company Air Nouveau that MI6 stole last week from a warehouse just outside Cannes. She makes the briefest smile to Gabby to indicate that the plan is on track. There are only 3 other passengers in the aircraft, all important men in the people smuggling and prostitution networks across Europe. Gabby thinks back over the last 4 months in deep cover, as she has built up the trust of these men. Her cover identity has been Erika Müller, one that she used 2 years ago to trap and turn a key gang leader in Belgrade. As Erika, she is planning to open a string of brothels in Frankfurt, Brussels and Paris, and ship young women in from Russia and the Balkans. That makes her a key client for the men in this Gulf Stream, and the reason that she's on this aircraft at all, at their invitation. The trip to Palermo had been suggested by Antoine Lambert, a French national, and the one man of the 3 who MI6 research branch rate as extremely dangerous. He is the wealthiest of all of these men too, and, if this operation had been planned differently, she would be sleeping with Lambert tonight when they reach their destination. But that's not the plan. She pushes her dark hair away from her brown eyes as Kate returns down the aisle and leans across in the pretense of taking a drinks order. "Are we ready?" says Gabby, and Kate nods. "The 60 seconds countdown starts." She raises her wrist and holds a finger over the stopwatch alarm. "Now." Gabby presses the button and delves her hand into the Hermes Birkin handbag that sits beside her. She unzips a hidden pocket inside the bag and pulls out a gas canister. She breaks the end seal, arms the device, and bowls the cylinder down the length of the aircraft. It stops near Lambert, but no one notices it on the floor as they're engrossed in conversation. The deafening boom cracks through the peace of the luxury aeroplane, and the void is filled with white gas within a few seconds. Immediately, Lambert and the others start to shout. The gas is harmless, but they don't know that. Kate is in the crew area and moves a catering trolley to block the door to the cockpit. Then she drops her hand into a drawer in the kitchen area and pulls out a silenced Beretta M9 handgun. She runs towards Lambert. The men are standing and still shouting in their panic. Lambert doesn't register Kate walking towards him out of the haze. With a single movement, she puts the Beretta up to his temple and delivers a single shot into his head. Red splatter spews out against the side of the aircraft. She turns and heads back towards the front of the Gulf Stream. One of the other men steps out into her path and she swings the gun at him, gouging a slice of skin from his face as she scrapes the muzzle downwards, drawing blood. Kate swings her free hand and lands a blow to his head with enough force that he falls back into his white leather seat. Gabby delves into her Birkin again and pulls out 2 cubic black boxes. She slams one against the exit door, and the magnetics stick it to the bulkhead. The second device she places on her seat. 5 seconds, she shouts to Kate, and they both take cover behind the chairs. The explosion of the first cube rips through the air as the charge blows the door off and sends the metal falling to earth. The cabin instantaneously depressurizes, and the men feel the force of the air, drawing them closer to the gaping wound in the side of the plane. The third man, who is stronger than the others from his years of street violence, manages to fight the suction and get a hand on Gabby. He grabs for her head and pulls it hard to one side, then the other. She manages to reach out to his face, and her fingers push into his left eye until she feels the softness of his eyeball, and he cries out. Kate joins the brawl and uses the Beretta as a battering ram, repeatedly bringing it down against his skull until the man writhes away in agony. Gabby kicks a wall panel near the broken exit and reveals 2 backpacks that were stowed out of sight by MI6 field agents last night as the aircraft was being prepared. She throws one backpack to Kate, and they both slide their arms under the straps. Go, 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 she shouts, and the women run for the exit, then throw themselves out into the sky above the sea. There are 10 seconds of free fall, then Gabby pulls the ripcord and her parachute opens. She looks up at Kate, who is 20 meters above her, but Kate's chute hasn't opened, and she is plummeting fast downwards. Second by second, Kate is dropping through the air. Gabby flicks her legs around to rotate her position and maneuver to be directly under the other woman's descent. When the collision happens, Gabby draws a clip from her chute and rams it hard to latch with a buckle on Kate's backpack. Their combined weight doubles their speed as they drop earthward. Gabby pulls hard on the control lines as the ground approaches. The chute slows their descent, but the landing is a messy affair, and both hit the ground hard and cry out. They try to roll out of the worst of the impact, but their bodies are still brought to a jarring halt too quickly. Then, silence. They lie on the ground where they fell, and don't move. Seconds tick by, and Gabby opens her eyes. She raises her head off the sand and looks into the sky. She can see the Gulf Stream now pouring out smoke and following an arc towards the water. At 100 meters above the Mediterranean, the second black cube detonates, and an orange ball of flame curls out from the plane before it hits the water, and the fuel tank ignites, pushing seawater up and out before the fuselage starts to drop below the surface. Gabby breathes out. "You all right?" she says to Kate. There's no answer. "Kate?" There's a second of time. Then Kate says, "My arm took the brunt. Where are we?" "Corsica, Ile Rousse." Gabby sits up and rubs her cheek where the man grabbed her in the plane. Then she stands up. "We can relax for the rest of the day," she says. "I fly to London tomorrow for a briefing on a new operation, but before that, there's a beach bar over there, and I'm buying." She offers her hand and pulls Kate to her feet. Gabby releases the harness from the backpack, and they gather up the white parachute fabric, then start to walk through the breaking clear water on the shoreline. The next evening at just before 8 p.m, outside the Five Fields restaurant, on Blacklands Terrace in London's Chelsea, an armoured black Range Rover SV pulls up to the curb and stops. Percy, the driver, steps out and opens the rear door for his boss, Sir Bernard Mackintosh, head of MI6 Global Operations. The older man's greying hair is worn short over his pinstriped three-piece suit, and his glasses are perched on the end of his slightly bulbous nose that sits between kind blue eyes. He walks to the unassuming entrance of one of the most exquisite places to eat in this city. The maitre d'hotel greets him personally and shows him up to the first floor where the private dining room has been booked for tonight. He orders Chablis and sits in one of the armchairs near the Georgian windows. Somewhere in the distance, Sir Bernard can hear a church bell striking the hour. Time ticks by in the room, and he thinks as he waits. Eventually he hears footsteps on the stairs, and the door opens. "Hello, Sir Bernard."
"Gabrielle, how was your journey?"
"Good."
"Chablis?"
"Thank you."
Gabby sits on the chair next to him, and Sir Bernard turns to her.
"An update on the crash. Research branch tell me that 4 bodies were dragged from the Mediterranean yesterday."
He pauses.
"Not 5, though. 2 pilots and 2 others."
Gabby drinks and turns her eyes to him.
"So 1 unaccounted for? Do we know who?"
"The faces were disfigured, but the lab has done DNA checks. They think it's Lambert's body that is missing."
She screws up her features.
"He can't be alive. Agent Coniston shot him at close range. Are we sure it's Lambert?"
she says.
"Research branch are usually accurate."
"He saw us, Coniston and me. I've been schmoozing him for 4 months. Lunches, dinners, parties. He trusted me. Or trusted Erica. If he's alive, that's all blown."
Sir Bernard watches his best European field officer think through the consequences.
"We don't know, Gabrielle."
"I've never known a man to survive that sort of injury, sir. Of course, someone could have taken the body. But why remove only 1?
"If he's alive, he'll want you dead," says Sir Bernard.
"And where, sir?"
"We'll put tracers out to find him, Gabrielle. But you need to tread carefully."
"Yes, sir."
"Moving on," he says, smiling. "I want to tell you about this new mission that I mentioned to you. Operation Oak Hill."
He stands and picks up a remote control from the table, then points it across the room. The door lock clicks shut, and a section of the wall slides back to reveal 5 video screens. The images of 4 men start to play out, but the final screen remains black.
You probably don't know these people. Some are high net worth individuals, while others are involved in the finance industry in some way.
He begins.
But from left to right they are Louis Jacobs, Salvatore Albano, Oliver Bailey, and Raphael Villanova.
Gabby nods when she looks at him.
Historically, a couple of them were known to the police for minor offences, but now they've banded together into a European-wide organisation which they've called Nox Ventura. I'm sure you know that means the coming night in Latin.
Sir Bernard looks over his glasses at her.
They've only been operating for 7 months, but they've already made significant inroads into the money laundering traffic around Frankfurt and London.
He stops and takes a mouthful of wine.
Jacobs is in Brussels, Albano in Rome, Bailey is in London, and Villanova works in Madrid. The leader of Nox Ventura, though, is someone you're familiar with from an operation last year.
Sir Bernard points the remote to the last screen, and a video of a dark-haired woman appears.
Rosaline Frossard. You'll remember she joined what was left of Leo Ha's gang after we terminated him, but she only stayed for a few months and left to set up Nox Ventura. She runs the organisation from Chateau Frossard, her family estate in France, near Grenoble. It's isolated, vast, and well protected.
"We aren't the best people to look into money laundering, sir," says Gabby. "Isn't Interpol a better resource?"
"All of this could be addressed with local law enforcement and Interpol, true," says Sir Bernard. "It would be none of our business if they hadn't started to make plans to trade in secret information as well. In the last 3 months, they've started to plan the trading of stolen commercial documentation and selling it on to industrial competitors. But last week, we got wind of the fact that Nox Ventura are upping their game. Now, they plan to focus on military and sensitive government information as their next step." Her gaze is locked on Sir Bernard. "Your new operation, Gabrielle, is to break Nox Ventura before they get their hands on intelligence that could undermine the UK and other governments across Europe."
"Okay," she says.
"There's something else too," he continues. "We had a field resource collecting information on Nox Ventura. Agent Woodville. He went missing last week. All his comms are dead. Woodville was somewhere near Chateau Frossard, the last we know. He may be perfectly fine, or his cover may have been blown."
"Does our op include the extraction of Woodville?"
Sir Bernard shakes his head. "He can look after himself."
"And the London end of all this will be covered by MI5?
"I've already spoken to Connie Barrett, MI5 head of ops. She is allocating someone for the London elements of the work, but you'll lead the rest."
"Has Research Branch built up profiles of these 5 people?" she says, and waves her hand to the video screens.
"Yes, as of a minute ago. All of the information is in your profile on Oberon."
He refers to the MI6 operations system.
"We've created a cover life for you to infiltrate Nox Ventura."
He reaches into his jacket pocket and hands Gabby a folded sheet of paper. Gabby opens it. "Lady Imogen Harwood," she says, reading from the sheet. "Heiress to the Harwood diamond business." She looks up and he opens his eyes wider.
"Your background story has been manifest online in various ways over the last few weeks. You run a cleaning service for high-end criminals. You mop up their dirty laundry, remove the bodies, or whatever they need. We've seeded your name into the crime syndicates across Europe, so people will have heard of Imogen Harwood by now."
He pauses.
"We can talk more over dinner. I ordered the tasting menu for us both."
Sir Bernard unlocks the door and the wall closes back over the video screens as they sit at the table. And above them, the moon is full over London, and tiny droplets of rain start to fall onto the water of the River Thames.